Hello. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Matt. Please hit the like, subscribe, and the bell. The bell's the best way to see new content from me as it's uploaded. It's been my experience as an avid YouTube viewer and now being a contributor to the platform. I know it's also it's not just a thing people say. It really does help if you really want to see your Philip DeFranco or your Smosh or FPS Russia. Whoops, he's gone, huh? And he's not Russian either. That was pretty crazy, right? Finding out he's from like Tennessee or whatever. Hi. Again, Matt. Hello. I'd wave, but I'm using both hands to stabilize this camera. This is a different camera than the one I was using last time, and it's still not the dedicated camera that I have for this endeavor. I have so many cameras. I am a giant cluster migraine of first world problems. You know what I mean? Like I ran over my housekeeper with the wrong Lamborghini this morning, like that level of first world problem. Right, so, okay, I'll bring my voice down. So you are going to get, I'm excited, I am excited to film this because of the vibe I've got right now. This vibe this is very unique. Sui generis, right? For all my Latin fans out there. So this is going to be an interesting one, I think. I am in a really aggressive mood right now. I've got stuff, I'll talk about it. I'm going to talk about it here. So let's just get right into it. So overall, I thought for, kind of brainstorming before I got out here for my tonight's filming spot, I was thinking about topics, I'm trying to think what keywords. I mean, just, you know what? Here's the word. As a writer, I know this. Prompts. A prompt to get the ball rolling, right? Get myself going. The word I thought of was, because it is an absolute chorus, like a Greek chorus, right? Just keeps repeating in my life lately. Disappointment. So this theme is disappointment. I'm going to go all over the place, but ultimately that's the high wire I will walk. Hey, enough about me. How are you? I really mean that. I hope you guys, as I gain viewers, I hope that you guys tune in here for, you know what? Come here for whatever you want. Watch it because you enjoy me. Watch it because you think I'm funny. Watch it because you think I'm painfully unfunny. Watch it because you think I'm a bore, a jerk, an asshole, or an absolute darling, a sweetheart, a scumbag, a dirtbag, whatever it is you came here looking for. I hope you find it. All I can offer you in return, and I give you this truly, I mean this solemnly, genuinely, is you're getting me. Like, the word honesty, I think, is overused these days, a little bit overwrought. You're getting me, truly me, like Matt. That's who you're getting right now, the one and only. So, yeah, so here we go. So disappointment. I need to tone it down a little bit now. Well, first of all, let me just, opening shot, right? So the reason I'm so agitated right now is just, it's one of those evenings where just everything's not quite working out right. Like silly stuff, like, I couldn't get toothpaste on the toothbrush correctly, where you start to think, okay, am I having a stroke? My hands, I get palsy hands. Because I'll tell you, from my dark days in the trenches of addiction, I've had many a time I've had spasms. I'm forgetting the $10 word before the word spasm, but it's a thing you get when you're going through withdrawal sometimes, where your hands clamp up. They go like this, and you get crab hands, crab claws, I call them, and you can't open your hand. You literally can't physically open your hand. I would have to get a pen and slam my hand open like this, or get a countertop and push it till my hand opened. I'm not joking. Not joking. I'm smiling, I think, just out of revulsion at the memory. So, yeah. But yeah, so back to this. So I couldn't get the toothpaste on the toothbrush correctly. It took like 3 tries, and then finally, okay, woo, we struck oil. Let's brush these teeth. So, just that kind of thing. It's been that way for hours today, getting up till this moment as I'm sitting here with you, talking to you guys once again. But so, like, with a friend, I've got a friend who I've known for several years now, and she's she is the thing that I loathe maybe more than any other quality in a person. She's passive aggressive. And, you know, her way of showing you that she's upset is by getting really quiet. She's disappointed, so she gets quiet. And I'm like, that is so chicken shit. You don't like me, just say it. You're mad at me, tell me just tell me. Not to my face. She can't. She didn't even live nearby, but she was in another state. That's a whole other story we won't go into because I don't want to put her on blast, but time she gets bored or lonely, she drives to another state and gets an apartment. That's reasonable, right? Especially as a single mother, real stable, real responsible. So, Christ. Anyway, so she's watching this. She wants to kill me now. You know I love you. You know I love you. Even though right now I just can't stand us talking to each other. It makes me fucking crazy. Anyone else who doesn't know what I'm talking about or anything is just going, man, Matt's having a meltdown. This is fun. Get the popcorn. So that kind of stuff is going on. That's on my mind. I won't get more specific than that because it's not even the point. Disappointment. So something specific transpired in the last few days, which is where the disappointment part is coming from. So here it is. You know, we're in the midst now of what some people call the post-MeToo world. Not post, but, you know, Me Too has become a thing. And so now we're on this slide of people coming forward and talking about their stories. I have a few of my own. Like I talked about in the last video, men can be abused as well. Emotionally, physically, sexually, we can be abused in all those ways as well. It's a whole other vocabulary, but the end result is the same. You lose trust, you lose body integrity, you lose a sense of inner strength and confidence. Those things all get rattled violently, you know. So Me Too. Disappointment is the heading, subheading, Me Too, subheading. One of my favorite artists ever, like in my top 10 ever. I'm in my early 40s now. If I live to be 90, he will still be in my top 10 biggest influences as a creative person. Not just a writer, but as someone who creates. A creative speaker, even, like what I'm doing right now. Just being a raconteur, right? Telling you a story. An absolutely incredible writer. Like, without equal. Non pareil. I'm going to throw in random Latin and French in here just to keep you guys on your toes. And to have the auto-generated closed captioning go bananas trying to keep up with me and all the weird non-translations it'll throw up on the screen. That stuff's always fun to watch. But this person who I am absolutely not going to name them because, you know, the jury's out. But someone is accused him years ago. So we're in 2020 now. The accusations are from 2012, I believe, with this woman had written this blog about her situation with him, her claims about him and against him. And she claimed that he was emotionally and psychologically manipulative of her. She called it emotional rape. Very heavy. And I know just using that word, demonetization, right? I really got to learn my editing software better to cut this stuff up. But the R word, R-A-P-E. She said that she was emotionally that by him, which that's a really brutal thing to say. I think it's absolutely possible for a person to withstand that, an experience that for which that is an apt description. But then what's kind of messing with me is I read as much of her stuff as I could because a lot of it's been taken down, and then you've got things like, you know, was it archive.org or the Wayback Machine, those sites where you can pull up old versions of websites. It's going to be a lot of fun with my own social media if this takes off because you get to see past versions of Matt. Nothing I'm ashamed of, just different. Like you get to see me with, you know, pink hair and glow sticks in my ears and all my weird, you know, DJ Raver Day crap and, you know, all makeuped out to go to death metal shows. All that stuff will come popping up out of the gaping maw of the internet's gag reflex. So this woman tells these stories about this writer, this man, this particular person, and it was very sort of nebulous. Like there was a lot of vagueness to it. Not so vague like she was just hinting. She was talking about emotions he had brought out in her, mainly negative ones, but in the beginning they were positive. So my understanding, okay, so I'll take as much as I think I can and somewhat believe of the situation, because I went down a deep rabbit hole with this thing, reading about it, because again, disappointment. This has shaken me up really badly, like very badly. He's not a day goes by that I don't think about this man's work or pick up one of his books off my shelf and flip through it to a random page and just read a paragraph aloud. Like he's that good. He's that good. A random paragraph from any of his books will just be something that just makes me go, ah, it's good to be alive today. He's just an incredible writer. And the whole concept of death of the artist, Lindsay Ellis has a video up today about J.K. Rowling and death of the artist as pertains to her controversial statements about trans people recently. And just so it's been said, so I can put my stance out there, I am 100% behind my trans brothers and sisters, and non-binary, and what have you. I've said in my very first video, I want to be an octopus, the Proust questionnaire. All are welcome here. I mean that. The only thing that is not welcome here on my channel is utter intolerance. Now, we've all got prejudices, we've all got biases. I'm not telling you you can't come to my channel with that. You absolutely are welcome here. But spewing hate or being assaultive or threatening is not allowed. I don't want to be one of those people who has to police their own comments. And then the thing is, if I don't police my comments, you get those people who comment that they think they're being edited because there's some weird, like naturally occurring dip in the flow of comments where it seems like nothing negative is being said in the section of as you're scrolling. And sometimes it's like, it turns out that's just the way that day was. It was just something in the zeitgeist, something in the breeze, where people were just nice for once for 24 hours, and then they went back to being insufferable and cruel the very next day. So I don't want to have to police comments. But if something really toxic comes in here, like really bad, and if you've been watching my channel for a while and you watch stuff today and before now and from here on out, that I don't shy away from anything. And it is very difficult, I would say borderline impossible, to offend me. And that's not a brag. It's just difficult to offend me. Seen a lot, done a lot, been through a lot, know of a lot. Have friends and family and lovers who have withstood just things that would kill a lot of people that they've lived through, myself included. So you want to scare me, you've got to bring the biggest set of claws you can find. So, and hope it scares me, because even then it's not a guarantee. So from this woman's blog, it sounds like, and from the corroborating stories from other writers, and also this writer is politically active, same political areas I swim in, which we haven't got into yet on this channel, but later maybe. Very active in politics. And I'm also a fan of his work in politics. He also writes polemical stuff and pamphlets, and he's written a few nonfiction books as well as fiction that's very politically active and motivated and entrenched. So back to the story. So yeah, so this woman claims that they met at some event. I think it was possibly a political event. That part I'm a little fuzzy on right now, but what I remember for sure is they dated. The word I would use is romance, and a lot of commenters use that too. There was a romance. And what she did, which I found, it was both sweet but upsetting, because I guess she was trying to build a case with this, but she posted in her blog like what she claimed were snippets from his text messages, and they were like love notes, stuff like you send your partner, like thinking of you. I mean like poetical stuff, like genuinely lovely stuff. At one point he said she was heart-killingly beautiful, and I was like, this is why you're one of my favorite writers. Good God, who comes up with this stuff? But yeah, I mean, just incredible compliments. And it sounds like, he was with someone already. They were in an open relationship, and this woman claims that he was not forthcoming with her about that, about his status of his relationship being open, and so that she was essentially the other woman, the side chick, etc. And she was very hurt by this. Now, if that was the extent of the story, I would say, you know, that really sucks. That's unfortunate. I hope things get, you know, have gotten better for her, but it sounds like they haven't, because like I said, it was 2012 and her blog is still very active. Like, she had brand new posts from 1 or 2 days ago. She posts on there all the time. It's a very, very active, very fertile blog she has going. But also, she herself is a published writer, and boy is she ever. I put her name in Amazon, again, I won't use names, put her name in Amazon, and just boom, all these books came up. Lots and lots of stuff. She's primarily a nonfiction writer and essayist, so you can just imagine those two minds colliding, you know, and the bodies attached to them, if you want to get a little naughty. So her claim is that he, you know, was not forthcoming with her, maybe even going so far as to claim that he lied to her, but then she says the emotionally R-worded her, he emotionally raped her. Heavy stuff. And so I'd read enough, but it was like several nights of going till 2 or 3 in the morning, like no joke, like going till really late at night reading stuff. And a lot of it, like I said, is archived, or it's in the Wayback Machine, or people have copied and pasted it, kind of like mirroring sites. I don't even know if people use that term anymore, right? The site is mirrored. Here's the mirror URL, and they post the link on a thread or whatever, like in Reddit or Dig or one of those sites. So it really messed me up for a few days, thinking that he had, there was an implication that it was possibly physical as well, like he had been rough with her, like possibly sex that was rough sex that may have started out consensual but got too rough. And this is where it gets weirder still. There's another woman who claims, she's piggybacking onto the story and saying that she was with him as well, and they had she was not interested in sex, but he pushed for it, pressured her into it. She acquiesced. They had sex 2 or 3 times, and each time it was very rough, like he was just too rough, and drew blood at one point, she said, broke the skin. Won't get too graphic. And I'm sorry if I didn't put I should have put I'm really, really sorry, viewer. I should have put a content warning at the beginning of this that we were going to be talking about sexual violence, but mainly, you know, I want to talk about the emotional violence, and then what, you know, what constitutes violence, violation, transgression, all of these things. When one person or entity impinges beyond the borders of another person or entity, right? Where someone hurts someone. So, yeah, but I don't want to get into the weeds of that too much. That's not the point here. The point is the overarching theme, disappointment. So I was disappointed in him for several days. And saying that sounds really trite and really soft, and it is, because I was devastated. I went to bed like Saturday night. It's tonight as I'm recording this, it's Monday evening, so 2 nights ago. I went to bed, was certain I'd have nightmares, and thankfully didn't, or if I did, I don't remember them. Have nightmares about him and a woman or women. Thankfully that didn't happen, but so the next day I dove back into the rabbit hole and read some more, and there were a lot of people saying like her story was not, the initial woman's writing was not corroborated beyond like 1 or 2 peers who said they'd seen her sort of shook up. Gosh, I mean, I was going to say my point here, but I realized I am on point. This is all my point. Okay, so to him, to the author, to the man, this writer who I'm an enormous, I mean, to just say I'm a fan of just doesn't scratch it. His work is elemental in my life. I've read and reread big novels of his in all periods of my life, times when I was doing well or not so well, or I was in love or lonely, or just you name it. His work has been a part of my life at different points over at least 10 years now. And you know, the idea that he could be this way, and part of what this woman is pushing in this blog piece, it's huge. I mean, it says it's 5,000 or 6,000 words. I didn't count, but I believe that that's what it is. She'd have no reason to make up that number. It's a big piece, very large, and you know, so let's assume the worst. I tell myself he has emotionally violated and really messed this woman up and deceived her. She feels that she was misled and essentially cheated on, and also used for sex and affection and conversation and intellectual stimulation and all the things that you get from, for the most part, two-way relationship with someone. And, she, all that stuff is sound. It all checks out as things that are definitely possible, and however likely or unlikely they are possible. And that just messed me up, like I said. And so, assume the worst. I assume, okay, let's say he did do all these things. Can I still be a fan of his work? And my immediate gut reaction is, no, I can't. But then the feeling of, I can't read his work anymore, his absolutely incredible body of work, because of this story. And then something happened. And you, if you're astute, or you're just a lot smarter than me out there, you probably caught this before. I'm going to say it right now. Ready? I suddenly got it. Like how people can shout down a victim for accusing someone they admire or really like of doing something terrible. That defensiveness that wells up inside you, like, hey, let's not just throw that kind of language around, pal. This is very serious. We're messing around with people's lives here. This is very serious stuff. And I was like, holy shit, I am capable of doing that thing that horrifies me about other people. The lynch mob mentality and the get 'em, the guilty until proven innocent mob mentality. And after someone I really, really like and respect, that is just fucked me 6 ways from Sunday, guys. And I've been shaken up about it ever since. I'm glad I'm talking about it here, getting it on camera. And hopefully it's interesting for you to watch and listen to this and have your own thoughts. And as always, if I haven't said it already, I'll say it now. Comments, get in there, please. Let's get a discussion going. Over time, this will evolve. I can almost guarantee you I'll have a Discord server up and running. Anyone wants to be the first person to curate my subreddit, by all means do. Right now I'm just using my name for this channel. I don't have a brand just yet. I have a million names for brands, because over time this was going to be certain specific things, but now it's just me talking, sharing thoughts and feelings and stories. And then more specific things will come to light. Like themes will it's kind of like if you've ever decided to write something long, like a script or a novel or a novella or even a long short story. It's a big piece of writing. You don't need to think about your themes, because the themes will naturally arise in the prose, in the text. That is in fact true. That is if you're clear-eyed enough when you're going in with a project, right? Where you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be, I'm aiming to primarily say these things, and if this gets said along the way, then okay, fair enough, or all that much better, what have you. But I've got these things in particular that I that I want to communicate to my audience. And so it's just, I've been thinking about this ever since that came to light, this story about this woman and hashtag #MeToo and the author's name. If you put that into Google, what I just told you about will come up, but I'm not going to put his name out there. You have to find it out for yourself. And that's not a tease, for the record. You guys want to guess about it in the comments, that's fine, but I'm not going to say it. Because what it comes down to is this. In my eyes, based on what I read from what she said, and this is not to disbelieve the victim, we should always hear the victims out, always, no matter what. They deserve an audience, and the accused also deserves to be heard as well. I don't know where the idea of justice has gone in this world. It's so mangled nowadays, but it's still a thing. It may be an ideal, but it's still something we should be working towards if we're a species that actually wants to improve our situation for ourselves and for one another. We should take the idea of justice seriously. We shouldn't just say it as part of a pledge in the morning in class or before a baseball game. We should be earnest about this and self-critical and merciless in our reappraisals of our values, if we are to hold to the true and solid core of fairness and equality. But I mean, I'm getting a little airy-fairy here, and I apologize, but bringing the guilty parties to justice so that they can be reprimanded, punished, rehabilitated, what have you. So back to what I was just saying, based on what I read from this woman, I read a lot of stuff, and then I read a lot of other people's comments on her stuff, and happily a lot of people were commenting in the affirmative, like what she went through is really awful, but, and I share the but, so here's the but. What I read when I read, man, I tell you guys I write for a living. You can tell, right? This eloquence just pouring forth from me. Well, sugar and caffeine never, actually this is a sugar-free soda, but caffeine, love it. Yeah, my thoughts are, he definitely was emotionally, he was dishonest with her to some extent. It doesn't sound to me like he necessarily deceived her, just that he didn't tell her everything, and he probably should have. And that's, I'll get into the next part of this, which I'll get to talk about for a bit and then end this. I don't want to go on too damn long. And even when I say that, I know before anybody says it, I say I don't want this to be too long, and it ends up being long-ish. I've got a couple of half-hour videos on here that I swore up and down were going to be short ones at the beginning. So I say those things out loud as like kind of a check rein on myself, you know, like the halter on a horse, sort of thing, just rein myself in. But so, yeah, my take on it is that he was not forthcoming as he could have been and probably should have been. She definitely got her feelings hurt, and that sounds trite. I don't mean for that. She got her heart broken. She seems very, very, she used the R word, rape. She says she was emotionally raped by him. She didn't talk about any specific physical violence from him, sexual or other kinds of assault, that it was emotional and mental assault, which I take seriously. If you saw my last video, I was emotionally and mentally abused by my ex-partner, my ex-girlfriend. And it's a very real thing. But it doesn't, I don't know that I would use the word rape for what she describes. That said, I wish that he would acknowledge what happened and talk about it more. He has addressed it somewhat. He apparently wrote, because this stuff, like I said, I had to dig up from archives online. He had apparently at some point, he had apologized to her, he'd issued some sort of an apology and an attempt to, elaborate his side of the story, get his thoughts out there for people to see, since her blog. And I'm late to the party, like I said. Sorry, poor choice of words, not party, but I'm late to this event, this exchange. But while it was, going on in the heat of things, the thick of it in 2012, apparently they were back and forth, on message boards and, maybe even in a more public forum, for all I know. But I couldn't find that stuff. As much as I dug, I couldn't find those things online. Her blog is updated as of exactly a week ago. It's like June 26th, 2020, because of a lot of Me Too stuff going on right now in the comic books and published fiction and nonfiction industries. So in publishing, in both prose, or in all three, prose, poetry, and graphic novels, there's a whole bunch of reckoning going on right now. A whole bunch of people are being pilloried right now, just held up and put in the stocks right there in town square. Everybody's throwing rotten cabbage at their faces, and dogs are walking by and pissing on them. It's messy out there, and this is the necessary, those horrible, watershed moments. We've got to go through those Rubicons. We've got to stomp across if we want to make any kind of progress, right? But my worry from this, and to bring it right back to the disappointment thing, is that people get too, we sort of damn and condemn and drag. It's a word people love on the internet right now, drag. We drag people over, miles of broken glass and drywall screws, just horrible stuff, till they're just torn to shreds, and we go, all right, I guess that's good enough, and we cut the the chain and leave them there in the street to die of exposure, or get poked at by vultures, or somehow survive and drink some rainwater and crawl into a ditch. And Sorry, I'm getting a little nasty with my metaphor here, or analogy rather. But it's like the guilty until proven innocent thing. It's a real thing, I feel. And so, for my own part, I have had some problematic relationships in my own past. This is not me coming out and like admitting guilt about something horrible. If I had done something truly horrible of that sort, I would talk to my therapist, if I were a religious person, my clergy, and eventually law enforcement about it. I would turn myself in and face those charges. As it stands, as my life stands right now, I don't feel that I've violated anyone's rights or privacy or safety in any way like that in my life so far. That said, I have been a very negative, harsh, critical, mean, cruel partner in several relationships in my life. Like, if there's a paint color called unflattering, I am just slopping it everywhere with the biggest brush I can get my hands on right now, and I do not want your pity. If you want to sympathize or empathize, that is entirely your decision, but that's not why I'm bringing this out. I'm bringing this out because of disclosure and to draw a parallel between myself and this writer whom I admire and his situation with this particular woman. The one woman in particular, the other woman who wrote the other piece and said that it was the same person, the same writer. That was really hard to verify. I tried, and it was really, really hard to verify. There was a lot of hearsay and hints like, he was at this event, well, so were the two women, that kind of thing. And it's like, you really can't, but how can you prove? It's touchy stuff. But so yeah, disappointment. You guys out there, talk to me about your disappointments, right? And if you'd like me to do more of these, more videos on this type of subject, disappointment, sort of wrapping it up, right, the disappointment theme, I have disappointed myself a lot in my life. I've been a disappointment to others many times. I'm working now both as an addict in recovery and as just a man, entering in the midst of midlife, coming to terms with the choices I've made and the actions I've taken, or choices I haven't made and actions I haven't taken, as it were, sometimes. I'm grappling with those things, and I figured doing the YouTube channel would be a way to, be a forum for these things. I also write this stuff out, both longhand and typed, but I'm enjoying this format as a way of getting this stuff out sort of from the gut, just getting it out, kind of hawking it up and spitting it out. Sorry for the gross metaphor. But yeah, I am disappointment. It's a real thing. We all deal with it. Oh, last thing. Two of my best friends, very, very good friends of mine, are just like so different now than they were when I last saw them like less than a year ago. Their social media posts are like someone hit a light switch and the lights are now on or off, just the opposite of what they were before. And it's upsetting because they're, again, if there's a vein, right, or a theme running through this right now. Sorry about the lights on my face. Some asshole's got his headlights on me across the parking lot. But these friends of mine, I don't know. I mean, yeah, disappointment. I'm disappointed in them. I thought they were more sensitive than they seem to be right now. Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a real shame. Disappointment all around. And I talked to someone, a mutual friend of ours, and she said, she's also an addict in recovery herself, recovering addict herself, and she said, that's a thing, Matt, when we recover, thing that we have to prepare ourselves for is disappointment. There is a lot of it out there, and it's impossible to avoid, it's inevitable in all kinds of ways. So, as inevitable as this stupid motherfucker in his headlights, good riddance, sir. Please drive into a bridge abutment at high speed now. I said that on camera. Oh no. I hate people. People that are just cunts. Just fucking cunts. No fucking thought of other people. I'm just going to have my high beams on in this parking lot and aim them directly at this guy sitting in his car. Just a cocksucker. Stupid fucking cocksucker. God. Catharsis. That old word. I believe it's Greek, right? Like gnosis, knowledge. Yeah. So wrapping up, disappointment. It's unavoidable if you live long enough. I think we can all agree on that. Everyone here. But the question I have for you, for all of you watching this, if you would like a little bit of homework for the comment section, or the subreddit and the Discord, forthcoming, those two things, is how do you individually deal with disappointments in your lives? How do you deal with those things? How do you approach them? How do you process them? How do you parse them? Disassemble them, right? Look at the pieces. Do you put it back together again? Do you leave it disassembled? Do you try to build something new with the parts? You know, kind of get your mad scientist vibe going. I'd like to know. I really would. Because my way of dealing with things oftentimes is I panic, I freak out, I let my anxiety just climb the rafters, you know, and then skitter around on the ceiling like a, you know, some demon-possessed child in a horror movie. And eventually I calm down, and the calm oftentimes comes not out of grace, but simply because my adrenal glands are so drained they just collapse like a marathon runner who's just out of juice and just falls down in the grass next to the marathon path, you know. So sometimes, yeah, the calm that comes is simply exhaustion. It's just exhaustion. I wish I could take more credit and say, I found my Zen place, I brought down my triangle, I centered myself, I guided my chi into the 1-inch punch, any of that stuff, right? I wish I could say that, but more often than not, it's just that my adrenal glands and my nervous system are just all fried, and the whole system just crashes like an old crappy laptop computer, you know? Or you get the red ring of death, remember that, for all of my Xbox homies out there? So yeah, disappointment. It's a hell of a thing. And, you know, the Benjamin Franklin, right? 2 things you can't avoid in life are death and taxes. I would argue there's 3 things, and it's death, disappointment, and taxes. And I think death and disappointment are impossible to avoid, whereas people dodge taxes all the time. Benjamin Franklin was an optimist, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, what am I even talking about anymore? Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Please get involved. And hey, everybody out there, brothers and sisters in sobriety, stay sober, keep your heads up, stay strong. Hey, reach out to me if you're feeling like you might slip. We need each other. This is absolutely a fellowship. No matter what we believe in, you know, about the universe and ourselves. Take care.